All right. Number 8 on our top 10 list of things managers need to know. When you're talking to your team, particularly when you're giving feedback on things that you don't like that they're doing, because you should be giving positive feedback as well. We're going to talk about that in a sec. But when you're giving feedback on things you don't like, you have got to focus on their behavior. Focus on things you can actually see. Focus on things that are observable, because you're not a mind reader. Okay, therefore you have got to refrain from making the assumption that you know what's going on in your employee's head at any given moment. Now, here's an actual conversation as an example that I had with a former boss. This was in our one-on-one meeting, and she was in a really pissy mood that day, which I thought was even more ironic for the conversation. And she looks at me and she says, "You're obviously angry." And I replied, "No, I'm not. I'm frustrated with a few things, but I'm not angry." And that was actually the truth. I wasn't angry. I was just really frustrated about a couple things. And of course, there's a difference between those two that's really important. And she looks back at me and says, "No, you're obviously angry." And I said to her, "I'm really not." And she says, "Oh, I disagree." And at this point, we're having an argument about what's going on in my head. And I wasn't angry, but I was starting to get a little fired up. And I looked back at her and I said, "Look, I wasn't angry before, but now you're actually starting to piss me off." Now, I wasn't at that job too much longer because she was a horrible boss. But it just stands the point. Like, you will make people angry if you focus on things going in their head, even if you're right. Even if you are 100% right, it just pisses them off. Okay? Because you can't read their minds, and they know you can't read their minds. And so you don't have a leg to stand on. And once someone is pissed off at you, you have lost the point of the conversation. You have lost the focus on what you need them to do, because now you need to fix that they're pissed off at you over something that you shouldn't have done in the first place. So when you focus on your assumptions about what's going on inside people's heads, look guys, sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. But the fact is that most of us have a ton of stuff going on in our heads at any given moment that our coworkers are not aware of. And it's simply not an effective way to communicate, because you're going to lose a lot of credibility and trust. So when you're giving this type of feedback or you're trying to correct their actions, focus on what they're doing. Were they late to a meeting? Did they yell at a coworker? Did they miss a deadline? Those are perfectly valid things to critique people on. You don't have to go digging around in their heads to address their behavior on things. Okay, because that's really what you're trying to do at the end of the day. The whole point of feedback is to correct behavior when it's critical.